We talk about the 1% all the time, and sometimes when we're talking about the 1%, we might mean perceived elite or the perceived richest people in the world, or the perceived percentage of people in the world that might be on certain ends of any sort of spectrum or scale. And the 1%, it does exist everywhere, and no person, no group, no organisation, nothing's infallible. And it's really important to remember this, but sometimes too, you can get caught up in moments for the wrong types of reasons. Events might be happening, they can be pretty exciting, there's a lot to manage. And for example, if you take a crime scene, and it's a pretty serious one, so just say you're in a suburban neighbourhood and a 911 call is made and you're dispatched out to a home, and a man is dead, and a man is dead by gunshot, and the person who fired the gun is the one that called 911. So you've got to sort of control the scene, you've got to control who's around, you need to control the person that's made the 911 call, the neighbours, look around, stop traffic. There's a lot on your mind, and it's quite an intense situation, and these situations, I'm sure in some places are happening all the time, and in others it's rare for police officers to deal with. So, there's different ways of looking at everything. On one hand, it's easy to have 20/20 hindsight and look at something and say, gosh, you can see something's off, or other times you might think, well, we're probably being a bit harsh, because in the moment it's really hard to think certain ways. But I think in the case of the shooting of Charles Vallow, when you watch the tapes from the camera on the police officer, who initially has Alex Cox under his, I guess, control. So Alex is out of the home, he's asked, where is the gun? Does he have it on him? He's asked to, sit down on the pavement, and some questions are being asked, and it's very difficult to understand Alex Cox's story, and the police officer is having to sort of unravel it, and it's quite confusing, and he has to ask questions over again and direct Alex a certain way and get him to stick to the point and start with 20 minutes ago, and it's very difficult to get a timeline and to get clarity. And remember, this event's only just happened, and it's only just happened within 20 minutes. It is an intense experience, and Alex Cox does have adrenaline running in his system. But, the police officer is finding out several things, that Alex used to have a very good relationship with Charles. He's known him for about 15 years. So, whilst maybe he is there in some sort of domestic violence situation as a witness, and he's subsequently shot Charles Vallow in what he says is self-defense, it would still be very distressing for someone, even if maybe they had seen Charles really hurt Laurie. Would be an extremely intense situation emotionally, and not just having a physical reaction of adrenaline. When the other police officers arrive, and there's all sorts of trucks and things, on the street, and the situation is being contained, and there seems to be the sort of officers that can go in and maybe take photographs and that sort of thing. Just before the police officer turns off his camera, he's asked to by another officer. He talks to them about what Alex has said. And he doesn't go over and say, oh, gee, this guy's all over the shop, and, you know, I know he's just shot someone and everything, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right. It's hard to pin anything down. But this is kind of what he's told me. This is how I'm understanding it for now, but what happens is they focus on the fact that Charles has come from out of town, that Charles lives in Texas. This just proves, it just seems to seal it. The answers are, right, gotcha. As if, okay, well that seals the deal. Charles has come from out of town to cause trouble, to maybe be violent toward Laurie. I mean, it's just the lack of curiosity, the lack of putting things together, realizing things don't fit, and just asking further questions. They just sort of get to a certain stage and then it stops. And that is perpetuated right through. The story's repeated, and it's told in such a way that it's kind of the narrative, right? You know, it's sort of closed-mindedness, kind of in a fear of, oh, I'd better not be accepting of this domestic, you know, I need to be the right sort of person here. DV's been mentioned, and I can't be seen to question this because, you know, even though I've got this man sitting on the pavement who is absolutely acting like a complete cock, and it's very wrong, things are wrong, he can't tell me anything that sounds right, nothing sounds right. Who's there, who's not there, who did what to whom? It all sounds like a pack of baloney. You know, it's... Everyone wants to support law enforcement, and you want to trust that people are out there not only not coming down heavy on innocent people, but that, you know, there's nothing wrong with just putting Alex in cuffs for now and taking him to the police station and just ensuring, and then removing those cuffs and sending him off. Now, Alex could have been a bit miffed about that, but that's due process, and you'd have to understand it. And things just don't seem to happen. Inquiries aren't made, and, you know, the whole bullshit story doesn't make sense. They know it, but it's accepted, and people are dead.